If you learn just 9 tiny French words, building sentences in French becomes much easier. Those words are je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, and elle. And they tell us who is doing the action because French verbs change depending on which pronoun you use. Choosing the right one is absolutely essential. But no worries, the good news is that most of these pronouns are quite straightforward. A couple of them have more than one meaning and French pronunciation likes to hide a few letters here and there. But again, don't worry. By the end of this lesson, you'll know what every French subject pronoun means, how to pronounce it, and when to use it in real life.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? What is it?
First, let's quickly explain what a subject pronoun actually is. The subject is the person or thing doing the action in a sentence. For example, in Emily speaks French. Emily is the subject because she is doing the speaking. A pronoun, on the other hand, is simply a small word that replaces a name or noun. Instead of repeating Emily again and again, we can say she. For example, Amélie speaks French. She lives in Paris. She loves coffee. French works in the same way. Amélie parle français. Elle habite à Paris. Elle adore le café. Here, elle replaces Amélie. Okay, French normally needs a subject pronoun in front of a verb, just as a standard English does. You can't usually leave it out simply because the verb ending gives us a clue. So, if you want to say, I speak, you need both words, je parle. You can't normally say just parle. It doesn't work like this. On top of that, the form of the French verb often changes with the subject. Compare je parle, meaning I speak, with nous parlons, meaning we speak. Choosing the pronoun helps you choose the correct verb form too.
Je, I.
Let's begin with je, which means I. For example, je parle anglais. That means I speak English. Je travaille à Londres. That means I work in London. And je suis fatigué. I am tired. Here's the important bit. When je comes before a vowel sound or a silent H, it becomes J apostrophe. This makes the sentence flow way more smoothly. You will see later. So instead of j'aime, we say j'aime le chocolat. I like chocolate. And pay attention, this one doesn't start with a vowel, but we also don't say j'habite. We say j'habite en France. I live in France. This shortening is called liaison, but you don't need to remember the technical name. Why should you? Just remember before vowel sounds and a silent H, je becomes je apostrophe. By the way, the H is mostly to always silent, I would say. Maybe some exceptions.
Tu, you.
Next we have tu, which means you when speaking to one person informally. You use tu with a friend, a family member, a child, or someone you know very well. Tu is not pronounced like the English word tu. The French U sound, actually doesn't really exist in English. Instead, it sounds like tu habites ici. You live here. Tu aimes le cinéma. You like the cinema. And tu es prêt? Are you ready? Notice that tu still begins with its full sound before a vowel. Unlike je, it doesn't lose its vowel or take an apostrophe.
Vous, you.
Moving on, vous also means you, but it has two main uses. First, it is used when speaking to more than one person. So, you can say it's the plural version of tu actually. It doesn't matter whether those people are friends, relatives, or complete strangers. It's just the plural. If you're talking directly to a group, use vous. For example, vous êtes prêts? Are you ready? Here you're asking several people. Second, vous is the polite or formal form of you for one person, so you might use it with a stranger, a customer, an older person, or someone in a professional situation. By the way, vous is pronounced vous with a silent S at the end. Let's dive in. Vous travaillez ici. Do you work here? Vous désirez un café? Would you like a coffee?
Tu contre vous-même. You versus you.
How do you choose between tu and vous? Well, you already should know because I just told you, but yeah, it can be confusing in the beginning, so let's repeat it again. Tu is singular and informal, vous is plural or singular and polite. Imagine you're speaking to your best mate, you could say, tu veux manger? Do you want to eat? And if you're speaking to a customer you've never met and you want to ask the same question, you might say, vous voulez manger? Would you like to eat? Sir, monsieur. That said, the exact social rules can vary. Some workplaces use tu very quickly, while others remain more formal. If you're unsure, just use vous. This one is usually the safer and more polite choice. You can also follow the other person's lead. And if a French speaker asks, on peut se tutoyer, they're asking whether the two of you can use tu with each other. Congratulations, you've reached the pronoun stage of friendship.
Il, elle, he, she.
Now, let's look at il and elle. Il usually means he. For example, il est français. He is French. Il travaille demain. He is working tomorrow. Elle usually means she. Elle est français. She is French. Elle travaille demain. She is working tomorrow. However, il and elle can also mean it's because every French noun has a grammatical gender. French nouns are treated as either masculine or feminine, even when they describe objects rather than people. For example, le livre, meaning the book, is masculine, we can replace it with il. Le livre est intéressant, il est très long. The book is very interesting, it is very long. By contrast, la voiture, meaning the car, is feminine. In this case, we replace it with elle. La voiture est nouvelle, elle est très confortable. The car is new, it is very comfortable. This doesn't mean French people believe a car is somehow female, it simply means the noun voiture is grammatically feminine.
En, one, we, you.
At this point, we reach one of the most useful French pronouns, en. En is pronounced with a nasal vowel and a silent n. So much stuff is silent in French. Its traditional meaning is one, as in one never knows. On ne sait jamais, or more naturally, you never know. On can also mean people in general, like in this example. En France, on mange beaucoup de pain. In France, people eat a lot of bread. Meanwhile, in everyday spoken French, on very often means we. On va au restaurant ce soir. We are going to the restaurant tonight. On regarde un film. Shall we watch a film? And on habite près de la gare. We live near the station. Although on can mean we, it uses a singular verb form. The same form used with il and elle, singular. That means we say on est, not en sommes. On est prêt, we are ready. We say on va, not en allant. On va à Paris, we are going to Paris.
Vous contre vous-même. Oui versus oui.
If on can mean we, what the fuck happens to nous? Let's eliminate your confusion. Nous is the standard French word for we. As you know, it is pronounced as I already said, nous, and its final S is silent. Nous habitons à Manchester. We live in Manchester. Nous aimons voyager. We like traveling. Nous sommes en vacances. We are on holidays. Both en and nous can therefore mean we, but they don't always sound equally natural. In everyday conversation, French speakers use en extremely often. Nous is still perfectly correct, but as a subject of a verb, it can sound more formal, deliberate, or, written. A friend might naturally say, on va au café, shall we go to the cafe? In a formal speech, you might hear, nous allons présenter notre projet. We are going to present our project, but no one says that. In other words, use en confidently in casual conversations, but learn the new verb form as well. You'll see them in writing, hear them in formal situations, and need them throughout your French studies, for sure.
Il, elle, they.
Now we get to know the plural forms, il and elle. Both can mean they, but the choice depends on the gender. Il is the masculine plural form. It is written ILS, but the S is, of course, silent. And the same goes for elle. Ils travaillent ici, they work here. Ils sont anglais, they are English. Use il for a group of men or boys. Traditionally, it is also used for a mixed group containing both males and females. For example, if Paul and Mark are at the station, Paul et Marc sont à la gare. Il attend le train. They're waiting for the train. Let's take a look on the feminine plural form elle. Elles travaillent ici. They work here. Elles sont français. They're French. Use elle for a group made up entirely of women or girls. For example, Amélie et Marie sont au café. Elles parlent français. Amélie and Marie are at the café. They're speaking French. But now here comes the clue. The moment a masculine member is included in the group, standard French normally changes elle to il. I mean, if you ask me, it's a bit sexist, don't you think so? Because you can have 100 women, but because of this one man, they change it to il. Unbelievable. And if you're a feminist like I am, then please check out my other channel where I fight for women's rights. Link is in the description below. And yeah, okay. Let's move on.
Pronoms genrés, gendered pronouns.
To make that distinction clear, il refers to one masculine person or masculine noun, while illis refers to more than one masculine person or noun or a mixed gender group. Elle refers to one feminine person or feminine noun, while elle refers to a group that is entirely feminine. For example, le garçon chante, il chante, the boy is singing, he is singing. Le garçon chante, il chante, the boys are singing, they are singing. La fille chante, elle chante, the girl is singing, she is singing. Les filles chantent, elles chantent, the girls are singing, they are singing. Confusingly, il and il plural often sound identical before consonants. Elle and elle plural do as well because you swallow the S. The spelling and the surrounding words help you understand whether the subject is singular or plural.
Prononciation, pronunciation.
Here is another important pronunciation detail. As you already know, the final letters of French subject pronouns are very often silent. But there's one exception. Sometimes a normally silent consonant connects to a following vowel sound. This connection is called liaison. With nouns with nous, vous, elles, and elle, the final S can sound like a Z before a certain words beginning with a vowel or silent H. Like nous avons, meaning we have, vous êtes, meaning you are, ils ont, they have, elles arrivent, they arrive, or they're arriving. The liaison helps the words flow together. It can also help you hear the difference between singular and plural. Listen carefully. Il arrive, he is arriving, has no Z sound, but ils arrivent, they're arriving, has a Z sound between the words. Likewise, elle habite ici, she lives here, elles habitent ici, they live here. In the second sentence, the liaison gives us that helpful Z sound. Elles habitent.
Erreur courante des débutants. Common beginner mistakes.
So, let's deal with a few common mistakes before they become habits. The first is using tu for everyone because English only has you. Remember that tu is for one person informally. Use vous for a group or when speaking politely to one person. The second one is using a plural verb with en because en means we, but you say en est, en a, en va, not ensemble, en avant or en allant. That's wrong. Another common mistake is forgetting grammatical gender for objects. If you replace la table, the table, use elle because table is feminine. If you replace le téléphone, the phone, use il because téléphone is masculine. Next, don't pronounce every final letter you see. The S in vous, nous, il, and elle is usually silent. It appears as a Z sound only when a liaison is made before a vowel sound or silent H. Also remember to change je to j apostrophe where necessary. Say j'aime, j'écoute, and j'habite rather than j'aime, j'ai écouté, or j'habite. You see, it's too hard. Finally, don't assume written differences will always be obvious in speech. Elle parle and elle parle are usually pronounced the same. Elle travaille and elle travaille are usually pronounced the same as well. Listen to the context and pay attention to liaison when the following words begin with a vowel.
À votre tour. Your turn.
Now it's your turn to practice. Write one simple French sentence in the comments using any subject pronoun from this lesson. And yeah, for example, you could tell me where you live, what language you speak, or what you're doing today. And if you like to get an overview and practice a little bit more what you just learned today, then you can use my handout. I only created, of course, only for you. Link is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching until the end. And yeah, if you want to learn how to talk about your work in French, just click somewhere here. I don't know where I will put it later in the editing. Otherwise, I wish you all the best on your French learning journey with me. Thank you. Salut et à bientôt.